Greetings and welcome to the Culture War, where we dissect and dismantle pop culture in all its forms. Marvel's Wonder Man series premiered on Disney Plus last week, and the mainstream critic reviews are through the roof, making it one of the highest rated projects in the entire MCU. Is it true? Did Marvel hit a home run with this new limited series? Join us as we review a brief history of the character and discuss this latest darling of the mainstream media. But before we begin, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and help us grow the channel. As always, it really means a lot to us. And don't forget to like and share the video if you enjoyed the content. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. So Wonder Man is a D-list character born during the early days of Marvel Comics. The character first appeared in the Avengers number 9 all the way back in October of 1964, and he appeared to die in that same issue. But as you know, comic book characters never really die for good. So, a few years later, it was revealed that his mind had been saved in a computer, and his body was later revived, first by Kang, then by Black Talon, and finally by the Living Laser in 1976. After that, Wonder Man regained his faculties and joined the Avengers team full-time in the Avengers number 160. Later, in the early 1980s, Wonder Man would be one of the founding members of the West Coast Avengers, appearing as one of the primary characters in that comic for its entire 102-issue run. He then joined the team Force Works in 1994, and later rejoined the Avengers in 1998, and he has continued to appear in other iterations and spin-offs thereafter, including the Mighty Avengers, the Revengers, and the Uncanny Avengers, as well as being featured in a few other limited series, including his own Wonder Man series that ran for 29 issues between 1991 and 1994. Wonder Man, aka Simon Williams, began his journey as a villain, working with Baron Zemo and Enchantress to infiltrate the Avengers. He was transformed into an ion-powered superhuman by Zemo as part of a plan to destroy the Avengers. However, Wonder Man turned on Zemo, helping the Avengers foil his plan, thus becoming established as a hero. Over the years, Wonder Man became a longtime Avenger, serving on teams like the West Coast Avengers and Force Works, and he developed a successful second career as a Hollywood actor and stuntman, often struggling with fame, self-doubt, and pacifist leanings. His ionic energy form allowed dramatic comebacks, including periods as a being of pure ionic energy. He shares a complex family connection with the Vision, whose synthetic brain patterns were based on Simon's, and has been romantically linked to the Scarlet Witch. As previously stated, Simon Williams received his abilities through Baron Zemo's experimental ionic ray treatment, which bombarded him with ionic energy. Now initially, this granted him superhuman strength, speed, agility, stamina, reflexes, and near invulnerability. This early form of Wonder Man required repeated treatments to keep him alive, which was a way for Zemo to control him. But after betraying Zemo and dying without the antidote, Simon's body entered suspended animation while his consciousness was preserved electronically. His ionic form proved regenerative and self-sustaining, and when revived, he no longer needed the antidote, and his powers were stabilized, granting him effective immortality without the need for air, food, or water, and true self-sustenance. As an active Avenger, including his West Coast Avengers era, Simon's abilities grew even more. He developed unaided flight by harnessing his ionic energy. His ionic physiology allowed greater energy manipulation, including occasional energy blasts from his eyes or hands, enhanced senses, and self-regeneration. In periods of emotional or mental instability or power destabilization, he exhibited fluctuating abilities, including increased strength when angry, size alteration, like growing to the size of a giant, shape-shifting or altering his appearance, exploding and reforming, teleportation, and even temporarily empowering others with ionic energy. These, quote, advanced powers were inconsistent and often tied to stress or specific story arcs. In other words, his powers have really just been whatever the writers needed for a specific story arc over the years. Other than his semi-consistent presence in Marvel Comics over the years, Wonder Man hasn't really been adapted in much other media. He does make an appearance in the short-lived animated series The Avengers, United They Stand, which ran for 13 episodes in 1999 and 2000, and was broadly based on the West Coast Avengers team from the comics. And he also appeared in the animated series The Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes that aired between 2010 and 2012. This time seen in a story arc that was based loosely on his origin story in Marvel Comics, where he starts out as a villain, but seemingly sacrifices himself to save the day. Other than that, there really haven't been any other appearances of Wonder Man, although Simon Williams was supposed to be introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, with Nathan Fillion playing the character that was set to appear on movie posters in Universe, but the scenes were apparently never shot. And that brings us to the Disney Plus series, Wonder Man, starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen as the titular character. Set in the present-day MCU, which whatever that means at this point, I'm not even sure, the 8-episode miniseries follows Simon Williams, who is a struggling actor in Los Angeles. We come to find out that Simon secretly possesses superhuman abilities that he can't seem to control, and is therefore being monitored by damage control agents as a potential threat. Simon auditions for the role of Wonder Man, a high-profile remake of a classic in-universe superhero movie, and seemingly forms a bond with the veteran actor Trevor Slattery. Remember this guy?
My name's Trevor Slattery.
What are you?
Don't hurt the face, I'm an actor. They gave me things, they gave me this palace, they gave me plastic surgery, they gave me things.
Did you just nod off? Hey.
No, on a lovely speedboat.
So the character Trevor was the actor who portrayed the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, and then later appeared inexplicably in Shang-Chi. Anyway, the character was somewhat compelling in Iron Man, but absolutely cringe-inducing in Shang-Chi, although no offense to Ben Kingsley, who always turns in a great performance. Anyway, it turns out that Trevor is actually working, albeit reluctantly, with damage control to get information on Simon Williams' superhuman abilities. And all of this is set against the backdrop of Simon trying to land the role of Wonder Man while hiding his superpowers. So apparently, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there is a clause in Hollywood contracts prohibiting any superpowered people from working due to an incident that had occurred years before when Josh Gad, yes, this Josh Gad,
It began with two sisters.
Get out, Anna! Pew, pew, my heart.
Oh my goodness.
was accidentally killed in a superpowered accident when he was absorbed and vomited up by a powered character. Yeah, that was actually the best episode of the show. So anyway, one of the plot elements is that Simon has to hide his supernatural abilities to keep from getting blacklisted from the industry. Now, it's no big secret that I haven't been blown away by the quality of Marvel shows on Disney+. I mean, with the exception of a couple that were actually watchable, almost everything they produced so far has been absolute garbage. From Ironheart to She-Hulk, to Secret Invasion to Agatha All Along, the list goes on and on.
That is one big pile of shit.
And it's also no secret that the Access media and the mainstream critics that write for them have been overly kind to most of that trash. Like Ms. Marvel holding a 98% fresh rating, or hell, even She-Hulk holding an 80%. So when I heard the early acclaim for Wonder Man, I just assumed it was more of the same. Couple that with the fact that Disney opted to drop the entire series on the same day, instead of breaking up its release into a weekly series, and I was convinced going in that this show was something even Marvel was ashamed of. Lo and behold, I have to admit, I was surprised. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't peak television or anything, but as far as Marvel projects go, at least Disney Marvel projects, it's not bad. It's almost certainly the best Disney Plus Marvel show ever, as low as that bar is. Now I do object to it being rated higher than MCU movies like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3, Avengers Infinity War, or the first Captain America movie, and it's certainly nowhere near the same level as Winter Soldier or Civil War, but ranked against the other shows, I don't think anything else comes close. First, it's a different kind of series. While it is set in the broader MCU with some continuity overlap, including Trevor Slattery and the Department of Damage Control, it exists primarily outside of the main storyline. It is its own thing, and I like that. I like that it's a comedy drama series that focuses on interpersonal relationships and down-to-earth plot elements, with the superhero aspects of the universe only sprinkled throughout sparingly. I think the MCU could use more of these shows that focus on grounded stories of individual characters and their struggles. This is what She-Hulk could have been if that show had been competently written and produced. Next, the acting. It's really good, at least the two leads. Obviously, Ben Kingsley is a pro, and his Trevor Slattery really shines in this show. Honestly, it's the first time I've liked the character, and they do a good job of fleshing him out, making him a sympathetic protagonist, giving his character depth. And while he wasn't the star of the show, he was the star of the show. But that being said, I also have nothing but good things to say about Yahya Abdul-Mateen as Simon Williams. I don't know anything about this actor, but he committed to the role and turned in a good performance. I was a little skeptical at first that they clearly race-swapped another legacy character, and they really should stop doing that, but it wasn't an issue in this thing. Now, partly because I wasn't overly familiar with Wonder Man already, like most casual viewers I assume, so I didn't have a bunch of preconceived notions of what he was like, but more to the point, it wasn't important in the context of the show. His Haitian background was an element of the character to some extent, but being a black guy just wasn't. And finally, I enjoyed how they kind of took the piss out of Hollywood. I guess someone over there at Disney has learned how to read the room and figured out that people are getting kind of tired of Hollyweird and all its self-important prima donnas. So they did do a little meta commentary that was at least a little bit self-deprecating. Although I do believe they pulled a lot of punches and ultimately left me with the impression that they still think they're super important and special, a little self-awareness is better than none, I guess. Overall, I enjoyed the show. It was a pretty quick watch, with each of the 8 episodes only running about 20 minutes or so, not counting the ridiculous number of end credits in every show. And while there were some slower bits, the story moved quick enough not to become oppressive. Now, and I probably won't ever rewatch the series, but I wouldn't hate seeing more from these characters in the future. It's not high art, but it's closer than Marvel has been for a while now, and I hope they make more stuff like this. Fingers crossed for Daredevil Season 2 next month. Well, what did you think? Did you enjoy the new Wonder Man series? Do you think Disney Marvel is finally turning a corner? Join the conversation in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Bye for now. We hope to see you next time in the Culture Wars.